Welcome to our channel, ladies and gentlemen. Whenever I listen to President William Ruto, I get disturbed because the president continues to pontificate and brag about himself. Now today, the president made a speech that has really backfired right on his face. And today, the president has revealed why perhaps he stole Raila's votes, or rather, why he believed Raila was not the right person to become the president in 2022. And perhaps if you listen to that speech, you'll realize that William Ruto believes basically that there is a certain age when you cannot lead a nation. And I want us to listen to this. And the reason why I took note of this speech, I have heard certain comments from ODM brigades that William Ruto and Raila have got some secret talks and that he might support Raila in 2027. That is how crazy William Ruto has confused some ODM supporters. Now I want you to listen to Ruto's speech. And as you do it, I want you to listen to two things. What William Ruto is saying and what William Ruto is not saying, because there are two folds into that statement. There is a direct statement and there is another indirect statement. There's something. What is he not saying there, or what is saying indirectly? Kindly listen to this speech. Please subscribe to our channel and click the notification bell, like and share our videos. Please listen to Ruto.
I have the courage of Jomo. I have the understanding of Moi. I have the education of Kibaki. And I have the plan we shared with Uhuru Kenyatta. I have no excuse than to do everything that needs to be done in this nation. Wengine walinitangulia wangesamehewa. Mwingine angesema sikuwa na elimu ya kutosha. Mwingine angesema nilikuwa mzee. Mwingine angesema sikuelewa sana. Lakini mimi nitasema nini? I have no reason. Niko na experience ya kutosha. Nimekuwa mjumbe miaka 15. Nimekuwa naibu wa rais miaka 10. Sio experience inatosha? Mimi sio mzee sana. Si mimi ni kijana, mimi naelewa kufanya maneno. Ama namna gani? Mimi nimesoma ya kutosha. Hatujawahi kuwa na daktari ambaye ni rais wa nchi. Mimi si ndio? Mimi ni mtu naelewa. Mimi nimezaliwa huko mashinani. Sasa shida ya Kenya mimi naelewa. Sasa mimi nitasema nimekosa kufanya hii kazi kwa sababu gani? I have no reason. I don't have an excuse. So I have to do the difficult job. Hii kazi yote ambayo mimi nafanya kazi ngumu ni kwa sababu there has never been an opportunity for a person with the experience I have, with the education I have, with the knowledge I have in Kenya. So I must do it. I must do all the difficult things that must be done in this country. Ama namna gani, my friends? Yes. So others could have had excuses. I don't have. And that is why I have taken on all the difficult assignments, because there comes a time in a nation when we have to do what we must do to transform and change our nation. Ni mnanielewa? So I have combined all my predecessors, you know. I have the courage of Jomo. I have the understanding of Moi. I have the education of Kibaki. And I have the plan we shared with Uhuru Kenyatta. I have no excuse than to do everything that needs to be done in this nation, from transforming our agriculture, stabilizing our economy, transforming our health provision, transforming our infrastructure development. That is the assignment that I have, and I must do it. Tunaelewana jameni? Mimi naomba mniombe na mnisaidie. Hii Kenya tubadilishe. Haiwezi kubadilika kwa njia nyingine. Hii Kenya lazima tuibadilishe na mpango. Je, unaona wengine wanajaribu kunipigia makelele, lakini makelele hiyo I don't have time for that.
So that is William Ruto. Just the other day he told us he is God sent to take this country to another level. He was sent by destiny. So today, that is him again telling us he has the courage of Jomo Kenyatta and he's got the understanding and the wisdom of Torotich Arap Moi. He's got the education of Mwai Kibaki, and he's got the plan that they had with Uhuru Kenyatta. Now, before we get to the old part of it, William Ruto has continued to say that there has never been a president who is or who was willing to take difficult decisions, to make difficult decisions. And he was saying this is the opportunity because he's the only one who is ready now to make those difficult decisions. So for the first time today, he realizes that at least there is something that his predecessors, performed. Because he always talks as if those who came before him, have never done anything that he can recognize. Today, at least, he has, for the first time, if you ask me, or for the first time in a very long period, he has accepted that they were part and parcel of the previous government together with Uhuru Kenyatta. William Ruto has cherry-picked. When he talks about connection of electricity and building of SGR, he says they were part of it. But when you talk about corruption and things that were happening, things that were not very palatable in the eyes of Kenyans, he distances himself from it. Now, William Ruto says that the previous presidents could have an excuse. And he talks of, one could talk of lack of adequate education. I believe he's talking about Moi, if I'm not wrong. He says another could speak of old age, and I believe he talks of Mwai Kibaki. And William Ruto has aligned his credentials. And in fact, he's written a new CV. So he says there, he's a hustler. He was born and bred in poverty or whatever, ile kitu wazungu wanasema humble background. He says he's got that experience. He's been an MP for 15 years, a deputy president for 10 years. Truth be told, that is enough experience. He's fairly young, because when someone talks of being young, when he brings in the credential of age, then he simply believes that someone who is old cannot lead this country. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I want us to look at the probable presidential candidates in 2027, because I wanted to understand who exactly was he referring to, or to whom is this message is intended. And I want to begin with Raila Odinga. Raila is now 80 years old. And you look at Mzee has really grown of age. He's old. That is the truth. And I believe one of the people who are being targeted here, the supporters of Raila Odinga. Do you know, as we speak, there are people who still believe that Raila should be the president of this country? Story for another day. If you ask me, I don't believe so. And in fact, William Ruto, who is in the broad-based government with Raila, doesn't believe that Raila should be the president of this country. That's what he's saying. I'm fairly young, and I think he's doing this to resonate with the younger people. Gachagua is 60 years old. Among all the other people, I think Gachagua comes third. He is 60 years old. Add him another 2 years, he will be 62. So I think William Ruto is also targeting him. William Ruto says, I'm fairly young. Kalonzo Musyoka is 71 years old. Another message to Kalonzo Musyoka. Natembeya is the youngest, if you ask me, 54 years. Matiang'i is 57. But then I'm asking myself, how old was Kibaki when he took over? Because he is giving this as a reason why he believes he's better than others. Kibaki, when he took over power, he was 71 years old. 71 years. And if you compare what Kibaki achieved, maybe within the 2 or 3 years that he was in office, you'll realize that he achieved much, much better than William Samoei Ruto. So sometimes it is not good. William Ruto should not tell us that because of his age, he believes he can perform better than Mwai Kibaki. William Ruto has always talked about his education. We've always seen him or heard him tell people that if you cannot align to his policies, then you're either stupid or mad or both. And he keeps on telling us about his education. And William Ruto is a very cunning president. When he knew he was poised to become the president, he rushed and got his doctorate degree. Today, even if you search the most educated presidents in the country, you'll realize that William Ruto features among top 10. In fact, even top 3, if I'm not wrong. And he keeps on bragging about it, telling people that we've never had a president who has got a doctorate degree. So he believes he's the best. And I want to say this. It is true that William Ruto became the president, the fifth. That means we've had about 4 presidents. And he has worked with the most of them. William Ruto was in Kibaki's government. In fact, he was in Moi's government as an assistant minister, if I'm not wrong. Then in Kibaki's government, he became a minister. Then they formed together the government with Uhuru Kenyatta. So in terms of experience, I believe he's got a wealth of experience. In terms of education, whatever you want to say about it, he's got that doctorate degree. But ladies and gentlemen, even Mwai Kibaki was an economist. Yes, that's why Kibaki transformed the economy of this country. Now, the difference between William Ruto and all those others, let me talk of Kibaki and maybe Uhuru Kenyatta. Ruto talks a lot about his education, about what he knows. William Ruto believes that he knows everything. Kibaki was a very quiet president. You could only see things working, not talking. And one thing is that William Ruto should not write his CV now. He campaigned, he gave people what he wanted to do. This is like a person who has been employed in a company as the general manager. Instead of transforming the company, he comes back and he tells people his CV. He tells people, I've worked in very many companies. I've worked in Safaricom, in Kenya Airways, I've worked in BAT. So I have got that experience. Instead of transforming all that is saying to be a reality, you will find it very difficult that he's still bragging about it. 3 years into office or thereabout, William Ruto should be showcasing what he has done in terms of economy, in terms of education, in terms of respect to human rights. But when you look at him, our education system is in limbo. Yet we have a president who brags of his experience, a president who brags of his education background. This is not the time to open his CV. He opened that CV, he read it to Kenyans. Kenyans knew his experience. Right now, the least he should be telling us is his experience and what about the other president. He should now convert that experience and education and the courage and the understanding and the wisdom to something tangible that Kenyans can see. Or what do you think about this bragging? William Ruto believes he's the best. Yes, that is not bad. He believes in himself. But why can't we see that in the manner and the style of his leadership? We have a nation that is still full of bloodshed. That should not be the president who is bragging about his experience. We have a government and we have a nation where investors are running away from the country. I mean, that should not be a government of a president who brags of education and all that. So it really disturbs me when I see Mr. President bragging instead of sitting down with these think tanks. How many advisors does Ruto have? There are so many. And I believe William Ruto does not listen to them. I mean, I believe so because we have a president who believes he's the best. If you don't follow his policies, then you are mad or stupid. Do you think this president can take any advice from anyone? Those advisors are there only to take instructions from him. Someone was telling me that William Ruto is advising his advisors on how to advise him. Kenyans should reject this kind of pontification, this kind of bragging. You can't blow your own trumpet. Let people see and speak about it. I never saw or heard Kibaki brag. We could see things happening. Kibaki said we were going to have free primary and secondary education, and he implemented it. It was not like he was an angel. There were hiccups and challenges, including corruption. One of the very biggest, scandals in the country was that of Anglo-leasing. But Kibaki tried. For the first time, we saw, roads in this country opening. That is when we realized that there is a lot of money in this country that can be put to some viable fruition. A quiet man, only work was speaking, work in progress. Lakini hii ya Ruto ya kuongea sana, kuongea tu. Those who believe, if you're an ODM member or a follower of Raila and you still believe that William Ruto believes in Raila, no. William Ruto has told you that he is fairly young, and that only means that he believes there's a certain age that cannot be allowed to lead this country. And I think Raila at 80, maybe Kalonzo at 71, or even Gachagua. How old was William Ruto when he took over in 2022? He was 55 years old. So I think he believes that if you are old, maybe past 60 or 70, you're not supposed to contest. I don't know what to think, ladies and gentlemen, but I've listened to the president over and over again. If he's not telling us about his experience, he's talking about his education, he's talking about, his God sent. But do you believe in him? Do you see him transforming the country? Kindly share with me in the comment section.